I would bet you that this would never happen. Like it would be like 100 to 1 odds. All right, I'm willing to risk $100.
I think this is a smart trade for both sides, if you think about it. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Raw Sports Debate Show brought to you by Michael, Steven, and Leslie. Today, we're going to start with, some NFL and basketball as well. On NFL, we're going to talk about Baker Mayfield, being traded to the Carolina Panthers. Rob Gronkowski talking about some retirement things. I don't know if that boy retiring, and also the 2022 QB rankings by the executives, coaches, and players, which there's a lot of things that I think, Mike, you're not going to like about this one. And also we'll talk about some NBA. We'll talk about KD requesting a trade, Rudy Gobert being traded to the Jazz, and also Ja Morant talking about he's going to, he said he's going to, you heard what he talked about Michael Jordan? Ja Morant said
heard it was fake.
It's not fake. I saw the interview. Yeah, he said he's going to fry Michael Jordan. But anyway, and then also we'll talk about Damian Lillard extending his contract. And also Isiah Thomas did say something, so we'll finish with that because I know, you like when Isiah's all chirping about, back in the
Can't
80s,
stop, won't stop.
All right, so let's start with, NBA. KD requesting a trade to we don't know yet, but he is requesting the trade. And then also the Nets are also looking to get rid of Kyrie Irving. Unfortunately, the two unstoppable duo on offense are going to be going out of the Brooklyn Nets. Where do you see them landing? What do you think their worth is? And why do you think this trade even came up? Was it about the Nets? What is it about, players now having more say in what they want to do and where they want to play? What do you think is going on in this whole trade?
I mean, it could end up back with the Nets. You never know. They could be postured and making chess moves. These guys have been in the league for a while now, and they got agents. They got.
You think?
You never know. You never know. So I'm not ruling that out. But let's backtrack. The two of them planned this out a few years ago, right?
Yeah.
And they had a good team, and they traded some of those great pieces for James Harden. Yeah. And then once Harden and Kyrie got into it, and the three of them couldn't get along, which based on the history is understandable. They all have some issues. They're all phenomenal Hall of Famers, but they all have some flaws as men. And once they shipped Harden out of there, even though they got back some pieces, like they don't have that same core, and that's why they didn't win a playoff game. Now, they drew a tough matchup, but bottom line is I could see KD saying, I only got a couple years left to be a top 5 player in his league. Yeah. Had a couple injuries recently, but he's proven himself to be a top 5 player still, right? Absolutely. Now, KD knows I got a few years at most left to be a 25, 30-point a game scorer. I want to go to a great team. So who would I want to go to if I was him? I would say the Suns, like I said a couple months ago. The Suns. Why? Why would he want to go to the Suns? Because he'll get to play with Paul and Booker, and he has made lots of comments about loving Booker. Keep shaking your head. I love it. And
it's because he loves Kobe, and then Booker is a Kobe stan. So
he has said that he loved Booker he has said it. Nothing to do with Kobe. Leave Kobe out of this. Let him rest in peace.
Nothing to do with Kobe.
Let him rest in peace.
I'm rocking 24 for him tonight, all right?
All right. Anyway, we're talking about current day NBA players, all right?
Go ahead.
So Kevin Durant has mentioned he likes Booker, and he would be well suited next to a pass first point guard and let Chris Paul kind of age gracefully. So it would work well. Now, and of course, we were talking about KD and Curry. Well, you know damn well that Curry has a better argument right now all the time. And Absolutely. KD knows it. KD might say, hey, Leslie might take me in a one game winner take all scenario, but the general population right now, basketball world, they're drafting Curry first. And if he could go to Phoenix and beat the Warriors in the playoffs and get a ring that way, I know he didn't build it in his town, So he'll always have that held against him. But another ring for KD would put him back in the argument. So I see him go. I'm seeing him wanting to go to the Suns or the Heat. Pat Riley don't mess around, bro. Pat Riley, and
Sure.
by the way, Jimmy Butler was not very happy about PJ Tucker leaving.
Yeah, he said what he had to say.
Yeah, man, I love them both. So,
Yeah.
but I would say the Suns, the Heat. I don't see the Nets being in a financial situation to, get a lot, to be able to be back where they were, or to be able to get KD to stay. So it's possible that he stays, but I because they don't want to give him what he wants. They might be like pissed at him right now that he wanted to go there. Who knows how much they wanted Kyrie, and then he basically said, "Hey, you got to get Kyrie if you want me," and then it's a package deal. And now he's trying to back out a couple years later. If I was the Nets, I wouldn't be too happy. So who knows if he gets what he wants? But I would think the Suns, Miami, maybe the Sixers. Who knows? But there are teams out there that could definitely use him. And
correction.
What do you think?
Every team in the NBA can use Kevin Durant.
Oh, obviously.
Let's not be ridiculous. Okay.
Well, for that money, who's going to pay? What? The Warriors don't want him.
The Warriors could definitely use him, but here's the thing.
We talked about how great the Warriors are. They don't need him.
They don't need him. They don't need him. But yeah, if he went there, it would make things right. If you ask me a better landing spot for him, I think the Warriors would be a great spot. Why? Because they have the assets to give. A lot of teams can't, trade for KD just because they don't have what the Nets are asking for. The Nets wanted LeBron, AD, and some picks for KD. They're never gonna do that. Same with Timberwolves. They wanted Karl-Anthony Towns, Edwards, and then some picks. They're not gonna do that. If you trade for KD, you got to trade to win now. And then some teams are not willing to, jeopardize giving up too much of the future. And again, like you mentioned, KD's 33 years old. He's only getting, greater. But like you said, he got like 3 MVP caliber kind of years.
Yeah.
1 solid, and then 1, I'm heading out of the door. So 5 years, I think I could see Kevin Durant still an all NBA player.
What is he worth? He's worth.
He's worth
a lot because he's tall and can shoot.
Yeah, and then of course, and then he has 4 years on his contract. So you get him for 4 guaranteed years. You think about it, he'll be 37 by then. Whatever you want to do by then, that's fine. But
what about the Grizzlies?
Yeah, 4 years, they got 4 years to figure this out, so whatever, any team can put out there, I personally think, the Warriors got a lot to give, the picks and the players that they can potentially give away.
What about Memphis?
Look good. Memphis as well, but I don't know if Memphis is willing to give up that young core. But also, if you look at Memphis' team, all they need is that one superstar, you know what I mean? John Moran was their exactly. John Moran was their guy, but as you can tell, John Moran can only do so much. You know what I mean? He is a great ball handler. He can get to the rim. He gets his teammates involved. But he's not the best shooter out there. Like he can go get his bucket, but with certain defenders, might be a little hasty. That's why he was like over here saying that he's gonna cook Michael Jordan, and I'm like, no, you won't. You won't cook nothing. It's gonna be rare, brother. Nothing will be cooked. It's going to be raw meat. Ain't nothing cooked.
Michael Jordan's 60 years old almost. I would hope that he could cook him.
At that age, but I think he's talking about, him now and Michael's prime. I think that's not happening. But, if you ask me again, like I think that Memphis team has a lot. KD also, if you think about it, he's from, Washington. He might go back to DC, but I don't know if DC, Wizards got enough to give up for him. But, you got to think about it. Anywhere he goes, like I said, he gives you 4 solid years. At least you're going to get to the final twice if you put the right pieces around him. I genuinely believe that,
But it's a cap situation.
That situation is one for one. Yep, absolutely. Yeah. It's a max contract. So he got to go to a team where probably they only have a one, max guy on there so they can fit. But then not just, being able to take him in, but you got to be able to give them the picks and maybe some players that they might.
How about the Knicks?
He won't go to the Knicks. The Knicks are actually happy seeing this all happen. They signed Brunson. They think Brunson is, Michael Jordan right now. So they're about to put, Brunson, Randall, and all of these guys to go out there and, do what Michael Jordan did to them. They think, But again, what about Kyrie Irving? Where do you see him landing? Also, getting up there in age, he's still talented, 1-for-1 generational talent, a guy like that. But again, I don't see him going back to the Nets. With KD, I could see, the Nets having to have him stay because they have nothing, to get for him. But with Kyrie, I could see Kyrie definitely leaving. I heard rumors about him, being linked to the Lakers and a lot of teams and whatnot. But I don't even know what the Lakers could potentially give up for, a guy like Kyrie. It's hard, he's already been to Boston. I was gonna say Boston would be good, but he already
Boston
been
would
there.
not want him.
Yeah, Boston, not right now. After making it without him, no. But again, it seemed like Miami could use him. With Kyle Lowry not being, to 100%. Gabe Vincent is up and coming, but I think they could use a guy like, Kyrie out there. He's a dog, But other than that, I don't know. There's not a lot of teams that, I think are crazily looking for a point. Kyrie, at that age, you got to go to a team that's ready to win now. And a lot of teams that are ready to win now have, great point guards already playing for them.
All right, so listen, Kyrie. But here's how I feel about Kyrie. He's one of the most skilled players of all time between his dribbling and shooting and his finishing, right? Unquestionably.
Yeah.
He also misses a lot of games, makes a ton of money. He's aging. And he hasn't proven that he can win without another superstar. The Cavs are winning 20 games or so before LeBron showed up. So he's an amazing second guy. But even in some of those finals games, LeBron would go out for 5-6 possessions and the Kyrie-led Cavs wouldn't score. And it became so obvious that Kyrie needs that other guy. Like Kyrie's not a guy who's going to bring you to the playoffs. Mm-hmm. He's not like Chris Paul or Curry, where it's like you're guaranteed you're gonna get into the playoffs or at least close. Maybe you'll miss 1 year, but you're not at that level. But you put him right next to the right team, and he raises you up. His ceiling is so high. But bro,
so what you did there trying to sneak that Chris Paul comment.
It was organic. It happens.
But go ahead. Don't do that again.
Well, it's true. It's obvious. It's obvious.
Go ahead.
Since you brought that up, it's obvious. One guy wins 38, 39 games in his rookie year, and Kyrie's a couple years in the league, and he wins 20. I don't make the rules here. So, listen, Kyrie, you know what you're getting with him is my point. It's going to cost you a lot of money. He's not going to play the whole season based on his entire You saw what happened at Duke. You saw what happened over the years with injuries. And again, Kyrie is one of my 10 favorite players in the league to watch. Oh, you're going to shake your head. But is his defense consistent, Leslie?
Yeah.
You think he's a consistent defender? I saw him defend at some high levels every now and then.
He's been a great defender. He's been a good defender. Now he's an okay defender at his age. Absolutely. Now he's not, I think he just plays okay, consistent defense. He doesn't do nothing spectacular. So yeah, I would say consistently okay. Yeah.
Right. And I as a man, I agree with some of his choices and things he says off the court, and I disagree with others. I've always viewed him as an intellectual dude who's growing up in real time.
Which one do you disagree with?
What do I disagree with?
Yeah, you say you disagree with some as a man, some of the things you agree and disagree with.
Oh, like when he told Steve Nash, when he let's see, I got to think of a laundry list here. Oh, how about the time he was like, well, we don't have a coach. We're all coaches at different times. We don't have to have a head coach. And then when apparently he was holding private practices after Nash left or
second
something like
practice
that.
after they were done with practice. Don't let the media fool you. So what apparently he was doing was he was holding another practice after practice was over.
I was just combining those 2 points.
He felt like, but the media wants you to be like, oh, when Steve Nash left. I don't think it was, like a jab or anything at Steve Nash. I think this man just, but yeah, I could see that being, some kind of.
He's anti-Allen Iverson, huh? He wants extra practice.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, bottom line, I'm not looking up the games played, but Kyrie has a track record of missing games.
Injuries been a part, absolutely. And then
he's making a lot of money, and he doesn't show that he can carry a team on his own. So he'd be a great missing piece, but I personally wouldn't want him.
Yeah, but you know what's crazy? Some people would switch certain things around with him too. I could see the Nets making a trade. Like, right now they're trying to build a young team, if KD and Kyrie have to leave. Let me tell you something crazy, right? You want to hear this? A situation where, Chris Paul, how old is Chris Paul? He's getting a little older, right? Maybe
Very
they
old.
get,
Very old.
Yeah, but this man I think he's getting better as he even ages. He's just slowing down, but the mid-range is even more pure because now that's the bread and butter. He's not getting to the hole as, he used to, things like that. But I think he's very solid. You put him around some young pieces, absolutely. With the way Chris Paul was playing and, what he gave you during this playoffs, if I'm the GM, at Phoenix, I wouldn't mind doing that trade. Why? Because Kyrie, if he's available, same with Chris Paul. If they both have a huge ifs next to their game. One, Chris Paul might be hurt, or he might have that little flu going on where out of 5 games, he might excellent in 1, good in 1, and then bad 3 games. And then it might cost him. Why? Because of how much he means to the team, right? But here in Phoenix, you're going to get DeAndre Ayton for 1 more year. And then he might walk, which is fine. Go all out, Garrett. You could get rid of, Chris Paul, sign, get Kyrie, get him to, sign for a couple more years. You get 3-4 years out of Kyrie. Chris Paul goes to the Nets. They get more pieces around from the trade. And the Nets can build something.
Are you trying to sell me on KD and Paul and the Nets? Because I love it, but the Suns would never do that.
No. But the Nets will still get rid of KD. But I'm just saying, I think it would not be a bad deal. Just think about it. If they get rid of, because then Kyrie, Booker, DeAndre Ayton, that's very solid.
They're going to trade Ayton.
Huh?
They're going to trade Ayton.
No, they're going to add Ayton to some. I think it could be both. But I think, if you give Ayton and Chris Paul, I don't know about it. I think they could just do Kyrie, Chris Paul, and some picks. Maybe with KD, you might have to do Chris Paul, Ayton, and a lot of picks for KD, But I would do that. For Phoenix to win now, absolutely. Even if they're going to win now, I mean, we both know, like, if that same team comes back, they're not going to win it. They need to tweak a couple of things. This is the only way you don't
tweak their owner.
What did the owner do? What did the owner do? You tell me. What did the owner do? The players were out there and didn't perform. Now it has something to do with the owner. Booker didn't show up. Paul didn't show up.
I'm just letting you.
Yeah. They should tweak the owner. Then the owner should get rid of them. He should get rid of guys like Paul.
He just brought him in.
Not get rid of him. But
Booker loves him.
But absolutely.
Booker's your franchise.
Booker is your franchise. So you make Booker happy, right? By making sure Booker wins. Booker wanted to be in the playoffs so bad. Yeah, he got to the final of the, Western Conference. But here's the thing, Mike. Just think about it. If you're a GM, you can legitimately, push your team a little bit. Why? Because like I said, Paul, a little bit older. I don't even know what he's going to look like next year. We know he's going to be good, solid. But I don't know if he's going to be that great Chris Paul we know of. You know what I mean? You put him around a young team, he's going to, that's a player that's going to help Steve Nash regain, like his team back. Why? Because a player like Chris Paul demands so much respect, like people love him. All the young core and the Brooklyn Nets are, this would be a great trade for both sides.
I want to bet you on this. I would bet you that this would never happen. Like it would be like 100 to 1 odds. All right. I'm willing to risk $100.
I think this is a smart trade for both sides. If you think about it, why? Because again, Booker, you can actually, you guys could be the best backcourt in the league with Kyrie and Booker.
Well, they were last year during the regular season until the second round. Which let's just move off this topic. So it's okay. No, I do think Kyrie.
You can't take Chris Paul potentially. Do you see? I think you see where I'm coming from. That's why this is a little bit hard for you. But I get it.
It's not hard. No, I just disagree. It's all good.
I understand.
I love disagreeing with you. It makes for good.
I understand.
For good
but
theater.
like I said, if you think about it,
Kyrie does many things better than Chris Paul at this point of his career, which is he's a little quicker to the hoop and he is a better long-range shooter. But other than that, Paul's better. So, I mean,
I don't think so. I think I'll take Kyrie right now.
I'll take Kyrie's ceiling. I would take his ceiling, but I wouldn't take, he's got a lower floor, even right now. And that's so, but honestly, I do think Kyrie, I was being a little hard on him earlier, but Kyrie would be a great piece with Miami. Like a team that,
I told you.
He's got Butler. They got Butler. That whole, Bam. They got Bam. They got Lowry. And you're right. So back to what you were saying. I'm just trying to think of all the teams in my head right now. You need to have. He just makes so much money though. So it's there is a.
For what Westbrook makes $12 million more than him. What do you mean?
Well, Westbrook can't shoot. So let's talk about people.
Kyrie could do it all. Maybe not play as good of a defense that he used to play. He
used to play D?
He used to, yeah. I think he did put the clamps on Steph a little bit in 2016. A couple of possessions in the fourth quarter before he hit that shot. Absolutely.
No, but I'm a fan of Kyrie. So I hope, I don't listen, you're shaking your head again. I'm not a fan. When I rank all-time players, I rank him where he belongs, which is out of the top 50, for instance. I don't know. I rank him where he belongs. But in terms of his game, I really appreciate his game. He's got unbelievable skill, and I wish I could finish, 1/5 as good as he does. All right. So I I'm not a fan of him per se, but I really appreciate his game. Okay.
I would hope so, Mike, because that man is one of one. But anyway, we'll move on to, Utah Jazz getting rid of Rudy Gobert. Now he's with the Timberwolves, the Twin Towers, they saying, with Karl-Anthony Towns. They did give up a few things, but I think, at the end of the day, it was a lot of picks, a lot of guys, but I don't think it's, like Michael Beasley, last year he was, their 3-point leader on the franchise and things like that. So, they did give a couple of solid pieces for him, but I think they're at a point where, they want Towns to just dominate on offense, so they want him to play 4. I'm looking at, because this is the only way that, they're going to play both of them at the same time, Tim Duncan, Robinson type situation, so I think this is going to be good. They're going to have a lot of length. But now Towns got to be a little tougher because, now you got to know on offense, they're going to look at him a lot because Rudy Gobert can only do so much. He gets a lot of lobs, great screen guy, things like that. But what do you think about that trade yourself? Is it an upgrade? Is it a major upgrade? Look at where Timberwolves was. Let me ask you this question better. Is it an upgrade for Timberwolves? Looking at it, are they now a top 3-4 in the Western Conference? As opposed to last year when they barely made their way into the playoffs. We're getting past the Clippers in the play-in tournament.
I believe that they're not going to be a top 4 team just because there's so many good teams. You got the Warriors, the Mavs, the Nuggets are going to come back hard. The Suns still lingering. You got a few others. Now, I do believe Clippers if they're ever healthy. But I do believe that it seems like a gamble to me. It seems like it's unique having the Twin Towers, so to speak, in this generation in 2022 and beyond.
Yeah. What a guard dominating league, yeah.
But the fact that Towns can shoot threes, the fact of you think about the playoffs, the regular season and the playoffs are not always the same. And rebounding is vital at all times, but especially late in the playoffs, late in games, late in series. And I really do believe that they will have that advantage with those guys out there. They will have shot blockers, rebounders, guys that having two guys with a wingspan that big has to help you, man. And they surround them with a few defenders. You got Edwards creeping. You got other players on that team. I think it's a gamble because I think they got him at a pretty good price. They knew the Jazz were, it was clear that Donovan Mitchell and Rudy were, the breakup had to happen there. And I think as great of a defender as Gobert is, he's one of the best defenders in recent memory. I think you had to stick with Mitchell as your piece. So I think it was a gamble. I think it was worth it for them. But it could also backfire. It could also just completely just not work. Teams could take advantage of, having 2 7-footers who can't really guard the perimeter that well. And I always thought that Gobert was a great defender. He got taken advantage of by, shorter guards sometimes. But a lot of that I thought had to do with the fact he was covering for perimeter defense from the Jazz that was not very good, Mitchell included. So I think he got unfairly maligned, and I think he's looking for a fresh start. So I think it was worth it, but it really could backfire. What do you think?
Absolutely. I think for Utah, this is good for them because the pieces they got from Minnesota, that's something they could definitely use, and also now they have all these picks. Now, do you make a move for a guy like KD? It's doable. Do you make a move for a guy like Kyrie? Doable. Now you can actually.
They ain't going to Utah.
I know that. Listen, Milwaukee still got the best player in the league. It's in Milwaukee. What is in Milwaukee? I don't know. Utah.
Did he go there voluntarily?
I think Utah is popping the Milwaukee. If you ask me, the state. I don't know. I ain't never been in both of them, but I'm closer to Utah. So I think,
I've been to both. I mean, I agree with you. Utah's probably a better spot.
Yeah. Compared to cold,
you got Lake Tahoe.
Exactly.
They got Mormons. They got a lot of stuff out there.
They got a lot of good things going.
Crazy
for them,
fans.
Crazy fans. You need that sometimes, you know what I mean? But let's be serious. If you think about it, they can make a move, they can make a move for somebody. Now it's all about, do you want to win? Yeah, it might not be the best part to be, but are you here to play basketball or really have fun? Just think about it. Basketball is fun. So guys like KD want to go to a city where, they're going to win. I think they're going to go there and win. They're, solidified superstars, and they're going to go wherever. And now, even if you don't get a guy like KD, you can push for somebody, like, I don't know who else is a free agent or who they can potentially get, but they clearly need some more pieces around Donovan Mitchell, especially getting Rudy Gobert out of there. Now they really need to add one more star to him, clearly he can't do it. He can't do it by himself. He can't do it with Rudy. He can't do it with Conley. He needs a little bit of help, A guy like Dame, he just extended his contract. They're getting him a couple more pieces about, around him, which, is our next topic. He extended his contract. He got like 2 years, about $20 million, so he's going to be there till I think 2027. Going to be the highest paid NBA player. Dame is not leaving for a while. What do you think about Dame's loyalty and his willingness to just stick it out and grind it out in Portland? What do you think? Do you think he's just, one of the, the guys that just wanted to stay, figure it out? Or you think in today's NBA, it's okay to say, hey, you know what? I gave you 10 years, 8 years, whatever. Now I'm going to go find me a ring. What do you think?
I think that it's perfectly okay if you wanted to leave. And it's because, like you just said, hey, I gave you a decade almost, and that's enough. I'm going to go. You know, your boy Kobe almost did that. He was playing chicken and chess with the Lakers, and they made a couple trades, and they won some titles. Sometimes you stick it out and you threat and bluff a little bit, and you get your way. The problem is that Dame, I don't know why he has faith in Portland, because I haven't seen them really build around him. They've gotten some pieces. A few guys I forget off the top of my head, but I mean, they have a real good squad.
CJ McCollum,
McCollum's gone.
Matthews.
What was that?
They had
his name? Anthony
guys.
Simon? Is that his name?
Yeah, Simons. And Free Simons or whatever.
Yeah, Simon. I remember watching Simon. He looks like a budding talent. So maybe we're putting.
He was drafted by them, and he just re-signed his contract.
But in general, like, that team had a couple of good runs, but they were never really able to come close to a finals. And I am not sure if this is the right decision for him. If I'm the Blazers, I do absolutely think it's the right decision. I think he's worth the money. I think he's a great player. He's definitely one of the best shooters to ever live. If you combine, we talk about shooting, right? You know, off the dribble, off the catch, off the screen, and you combine depth, he might actually be the second best shooter to ever live. So Dame is incredible. I think he's a below average defender, unfortunately. And I don't know if that's going to improve with age, but I really do believe he can definitely be a number one option on a championship team. So I believe the Blazers made the right choice. I'm just not sure if Dame did, because there are so many teams out there that would love to have Dame, but it's hard to take a pay cut. You're only in the league once. But I think about Dame on Miami. I know Lowry's a better defender. I know you have to give up a couple pieces. But you talk about scoring, you know, like, and what he can do passing. I don't know. I don't mean to keep bringing up Miami, but there's a lot of other teams out there that could use him. Obviously, I'm just talking about a team. I'm just thinking about an old veteran team that's on the cusp, you know, and they're like a perfect example of that.
Again, we're talking about Utah Jazz. You know, Mike Conley, you know, when you got Conley in the beginning, you thought he was the guy, you know, he was going to be helping Mitchell. Clearly not. Can make a move for, you know, Conley, couple of pieces, go get you a Dame, you know. Personally, I think if I was Dame, it's time to go. In today's NBA, you need a ring, you know. I don't care how great you are. Sometimes when you don't have a ring, you know, the analysts, the podcasters, everybody is gonna, you know, use that against you one way or the other, you know. I mean, listen, there's situations where it's like, listen, this guy was never gonna win a ring, you know. Like you look at back in the day when you look at, you know, New York Knicks, they couldn't win just because Michael Jordan literally was in his prime, you know. And then when he wasn't around for those 2 years, Hakeem Olajuwon was like, hey, hold on, I'm the best player, you know. They did have their shot, you know. They did have their shots. But, you know, like sometimes, you know, like it's you know, certain players, you know, that played for the Knicks did not win a ring because of him, you know. Literally,
they get 2 or 3 shots, but some guys get 8 or 9 shots.
Exactly, you know. So some guy like Dame, you've been there that long, you've given, you know,
he had like one shot.
Done it all. You know, you've done it all, you know. Dame, I don't know when the time will be, you know. If you're always gonna be the best player in Portland, unfortunately, he might not win it.
Bro, do you remember last year in the playoffs? Not 2022, but 2021. Do you remember Dame had those insane games against the Nuggets?
Yeah. Oh, we all remember.
Yo, those were some incredible games, right?
Bubble Dame was also somebody different too, you know.
And of course, and he hit the shot over Paul George.
Yeah.
He's one of the. And he hit a game-winning shot against the Rockets, a series-winning shot. He's hit 2 series-winning 3-pointers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I remember reading someone's reaction was like, wait, Dame played that well and lost in 6 to the Nuggets. How do you think he feels watching the Nuggets get swept by the Suns? That was last year. And I was like, yeah, that's when I was like, yo, Dame should go. And I'm not. It's
time, you know.
I'm not a fan of the way AD has handled things, the way Harden has handled things, the way Ben Simmons, of course, has handled things. But it is okay to say, hey, I got to do me. I gave you guys my 10 years of youth. I'm about to go somewhere else.
It's time, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of those where Dame, I love you as a player, I love you as a man, but I think, man, come on, man. We want to see you win a ring, Come on, get out of there.
Or at least be in the finals. We deserve that.
Absolutely. So we're gonna close with the NBA with some comments made by Isiah Thomas, and I'll let you handle that because that's your boy.
He was yapping about the 1985 freeze-out game because I think someone published a story about Jordan or whatever, and Isiah can't go, 60 days without talking about Michael. Yeah,
12 hours.
Maybe. Yeah. Who knows what he says that doesn't get published? But listen, I just don't know why he's still talking about it. There are so many. I've read so many stories, firsthand accounts from players saying, Isiah, saw Jordan in this instance and he felt a certain way about him. That doesn't mean that he coordinated the freeze-out game. And for those of you that don't know, the freeze-out game was Jordan's rookie year. And 1985 was the game. And he didn't get the ball much in the All-Star game. And a lot of that was attributed to Isiah, but I think it was attributed to him because everyone knew he had a grudge against MJ, being that Isiah was from Chicago, but now played for the rival Pistons, and Jordan was Mr. Chicago within a few weeks because of how amazing he was. And Isiah wasn't the only person who had a problem with MJ. They were all jealous of the fact that he had his own shoe deal. Remember that? Like Nike gave him his own shoe deal and everything. Yeah. So he came in, and again, that was just a great idea by Nike. That wasn't like Jordan did anything wrong, but these players, and they can't turn it off, man. I have never accomplished anything that someone like Isiah Thomas has, Dr. J, all these great players that obviously hold a little bit of a grudge against Michael Jordan. But the thing is that these guys are super competitive. They got high egos. And it's got to be tough for them to admit, like, man, that guy is just better than me. Like, and again, I have nothing but the ultimate respect for them. I'm tired of the inconsistencies in what, Isiah always talking about it. And it's like on a philosophical level, it's like if you're always talking, you always feel the need to defend yourself and you always get extra emotional about it. Anytime you catch someone doing that, usually it's because internally they feel like they got something to prove. When you got the winning case, you just let the other person. Jordan doesn't say shit about anybody because he knows. It's like my play spoke for itself. He'll make a couple comments here and there. He'll give LeBron a cold shoulder here and there. But that's just your competitive nature. So I don't know what you think, but I think it's just old school competitiveness, man.
It's not going to stop today, unfortunately. It's going to keep going on. You heard Shaq the other day talking about Rudy Gobert making that kind of money, and he didn't even make that kind of money, and he's far better, of a player, things like that. It's a different era, one. But two, these guys played in the same era, things didn't go as planned with, Isiah all the time, with having Jordan come to overtake what he had going on. I'm sure it's hard, of course, like you said, being from Chicago, not being the man, in Chicago is something that, of course, if you're competitive, you got a little bit of an ego. And of course, he was that good that he had to be loyal to his team, so he couldn't even get traded to Chicago or anything like that. So, yeah, of course, the envy about Jordan is always going to be there, but Isiah is going to keep talking. He's going to keep, getting you all wound up. I like that. Anyone who says, I keep going. All right. Now we're going to switch to some NFL. Baker Mayfield, your boy, got traded to the Panthers for a 5th-round pick, and the Browns are still going to pay $10 million of his salary. Crazy. It's like the Browns was like, please come get rid of this guy, But what do you think about this trade, and what do you think about this whole situation and how the Browns handled Baker Mayfield?
To be determined. Because I do like Deshaun Watson as a player, but I don't know. I heard they might be sanctioning him this week.
Yeah, we don't know his status.
We don't know that, but the Browns are taking a risk. But I'm sure that Baker, and he's not my boy. Take that shit back. Baker is an average quarterback. At best. There's a lot of there's a lot of he's got talent, but overall, yeah, he's in the 15 to 22 range, and I think that the Browns are gambling here that whatever happens with Watson long term, he's their guy.
Yeah.
And based on his track record, that's the right move. Watson's got top 5, top 10 potential.
Absolutely.
He's better than Baker. But the Panthers, I guess it's a gamble for them as well.
I mean, if you think about it, they're not really losing nothing. They're giving up, a compensatory fifth round pick in 2024. It's not gonna affect them now. Browns are still paying $10 million of Baker's contract while he's still under contract. Last year, you get him for 1 year, see what, maybe not. If he produces, if he, does whatever, you can sign him for the low, or he could be a backup somewhere else.
I heard the Giants didn't want him. They wanted to stick with Danny Dimes.
They also do got Tyrod Taylor, behind Danny, and I think that's a solid move. I'll take Danny Dimes over Baker right now because they both haven't shown me that one is better than the other right now. To be completely honest with you, Baker ain't done shit, and so has Danny Dimes. Danny Dimes been turning the ball over than anybody that I know. But again, if you look at the way he throws the ball, the way he runs, he's very athletic. He's tough. Maybe one more year. I don't know. Now, I wouldn't say I would give him a chance on my team, but for the Giants, I think, the situation he's in is not the worst.
That's the sunken cost fallacy, bro. Sunken cost fallacy. It's like, hey, we drafted that guy. We're sticking with him.
With
he looks
him,
just like the Mannings. We got,
and not even just that. Baker ain't that better than him for them to be like,
he's not heads and tails better. And he's a little bit of a cavalier, which I like. I appreciate that. He's a little crazy. But I
respect the Giants for doing what they did. I think Carolina, not a bad gamble. I think he's not that better than Sam Darnold. If you ask me, they should fight for that job. Humble Baker, get that fire out of him, so he can come back playing better. But
maybe Sam Darnold will win.
He could potentially win. Sam Darnold had a crazy, college. He had a nice college career.
Darnold's solid though. He's got potential.
Potential. Baker. I think we've seen it. Darnold has been in terrible situations. I mean, Baker could say the same thing being on the Browns. Browns are known to be shitty. Browns are brown, man. But it is what it is. We'll see. Like you said, to be determined. But anyway, another topic, Rob Gronkowski, he said he finally retired. Farewell to, thanks for what you did, Gronk, but I don't think you retire. I think he's going to come back. He's waiting for that phone call from Brady. Maybe. Or maybe I think the game might be a little bit too fast. He might be taking care of his body now. What do you think? You think Gronk is done or he's coming back? Do you think he can even play at a high level like he was?
Probably not without getting injured, but it brings me back to baseball. Roger Clemens was really old. He was a pitcher, and he came back like super late in the year and dominated. Maybe he does that. Maybe he just pulls like, hey, week 10, just slide in there. I know Brady. We know the same plays. Becomes like a third tight end, catches a couple touchdowns in the playoffs, some big red zone possessions.
Yeah.
Why not? Why not? He's got all the money. He's got everything he needs.
Yeah.
Got to take care of his body.
Take care. You need 5 more weeks. Take your 5 more weeks. We say, hey, I'm coming back. Who's gonna sign me? I think somebody will always take a chance on you.
So I think if I had to rank him, I would say number 1, he's retired for good. Number 2, he's coming back late in the season. Number 3, he's gonna come back before the season. I don't think he's gonna come back before the season.
I don't think he's coming back before the season.
Yeah.
I think if anything, at least after week 1, we might hear something about him.
And by the way, I think Rob Gronkowski has an argument as the best tight end of all time, but I'm not sure if he is because he didn't have the longevity of guys like Shannon Sharp, Tony Gonzalez.
He didn't have the line, but they also didn't have the success that he had.
He also had Tom Brady. So
I mean, regardless, I'm just making a point. I'm also just making a point that He made what he did, and then after people want to say, oh, Tom Brady had Bill Belichick. What do y'all want?
They had each other.
We talk about Gronk, you're gonna talk about Brady, okay? And then now when we talk about Brady, you want to tell me he had Brady? Okay,
that's how it goes.
Talking about Brady,
Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice
else?
had Montana, and Montana had Rice.
Yeah, you gotta have somebody to throw you the ball, right?
Yeah.
So absolutely. So now you gotta understand these guys. Shannon Sharp also had a quarterback. He didn't have no Mason Jar throw him the ball.
Yeah, Jimmy G.
Somebody. If he had Jimmy G, he would not be on TV right now arguing with Skip. I tell you that. If he had Jimmy G, no way. You damn wrong. No way. Same way. Tony Gonzalez had a good quarterback. Everybody, Vernon Davis had decent quarterbacks, like everybody got somebody, so you can't take that away from Gronk.
Gates.
Yeah, but guess what? There were guys that Tom Brady had that were not Gronk. Right. You can't take that away from him. Gronk is the best tight end to probably play.
Yeah.
He's top two, and he might not be two.
How about Mike Ditka?
Up there as well. There's a lot of them up there.
There's a lot of great tight ends. But anyway,
Antonio Gates was up there. I believe you give Antonio Gates to Brady, he might be as good as Gronk, or not, if not. You know what I mean? But he had Phillip Rivers. The team didn't go anywhere. So where could he go?
I would just say that
you stick with.
I think he's one of those dudes where, when we talk about all the time in basketball and stuff and in football, it's like you can have different conversations. It's like if I'm just drafting a guy for 10 years all time at the tight end position, I'm taking Gronk. But if you said, hey, I want this guy for 15 years, 17 years.
I mean, it's not really that realistic for a football player in general to play for 15, 17
I agree, but some tight ends.
In general, some tight ends played, but they didn't play at that high level all 17 years. And
Gronk was a great blocker too, by the way.
He was both.
Great blocker.
He could do.
Yes.
He could do both. You got to understand that he could do both. So you just ask yourself, okay, now when you go back and you look at the tapes, Gronk did both, and then on top of that, when Gronk actually started, your boy Hernandez was actually even better at that time, but then when he's
my boy too now?
All the bad guys are your boys, man. You're a bad guy.
I did like Aaron Hernandez on the football field, my friend.
I did love that guy. What?
In Florida, holy.
In Madden? Yeah, he was nasty.
He made Tim Tebow get drafted higher than he would have otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah, he made people not know about Gronk until he was out of there, But
that's the real Twin Towers right there.
Yeah, real Twin Towers. When you had them both, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But anyway, to conclude with, we're gonna go to the 2022 QB rankings by the coaches, players, and executives. Which I'm gonna go off the list real quick for the top 10, and I think I have something interesting to tell you, Mike. So starting from 10 to 1, we got Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Justin Herbert, Matthew Stafford, Joe Burrow, Tom Brady, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Rodgers. That's your top 10 by your NFL coaches, players, and executives. Thoughts? Where do you think some of these guys even belong in the top 10? Do you think anybody is bugging out of their mind to be up here? I want to hear your thoughts, Michael.
What in the world are Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert doing over Russell Wilson and Lamar Jackson? And where's Lamar Jackson? He's won 72% of his games, and he's won an MVP. And we have Justin Herbert, who hasn't made a playoff game yet. But he's going to be better. That's fine. Yeah. I understand why, because Herbert has great potential, and he is a more traditional pocket passer. I understand the reasons. But I'm not cool with the inconsistencies and the obvious nature of this that I've seen time and time again. In 2018 and 2019, Les, I watched Ben Roethlisberger and Drew Brees be ranked over Russell Wilson on these types of lists. I also watched Andrew Luck. Now, Andrew Luck won 1 or 2 playoff games. Ben Roethlisberger and Brees were not winning Super Bowls at that time anymore. They had got it based on past accomplishments. Or Russell Wilson, who was clearly a better player at that point and then proved it by, throwing like 35-7 and 31-5, leading the team to the playoffs. Okay, so those guys are over Russell Wilson. But now that Russell is the veteran with 10 years in and has all-time great numbers, now we're going to put Joe Burrow, who just made a Super Bowl and played great, but he made a Super Bowl, and Justin Herbert, who's never made the playoffs, and Matthew Stafford, who just won a Super Bowl. I get it, but clearly an inferior player to Wilson over the last 10 years. So now we're going to take those guys and put them ahead of Russell and an MVP, Lamar Jackson. Draw from that what you will. That number one, that's inconsistent. And number two, as I said for years, we got to get those token white guys in there. Period.
I mean, as you can tell, back in the day, like even Lamar Jackson, when he came to the league, people were still trying to deny the fact that he was a quarterback. He got drafted number 32. I had many, many guys that till this day, he's better than he's far well proven. Kyler Murray, those two guys should definitely be ahead of, guys like Justin Herbert, for damn sure. Even Joe Burrow, if you ask me, ahead of Dak Prescott, absolutely. All of these guys have been in the playoffs and have a playoff win. Okay. Dak, where's Dak's win? Where's Justin Herbert's win?
Dak won one, I think, against Pete Carroll. Yeah, that was the worst
how many wins?
Watched.
Yeah, but Dak been here longer than these guys is my point. Like these guys are younger. Kyler and Lamar. Lamar's won more, right? So my point is Lamar should be in there. If we're talking about what they have done, if you're talking about what team they have, absolutely. If I don't know whether this was based on, with the team they have or what they can actually do. Because personally, no, these guys, if you ask me, this list is crazy. This list looks crazy to me. Some guys do not belong here. Joe Burrow, I think your time will come, but you're not number 5 ranked quarterback.
He's like 10 at best.
League. Yeah, right now, you're not. You know what I mean? Aaron Rodgers, let's stop it. Yeah, he's been back-to-back MVPs, but I am not picking Aaron Rodgers over Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. I'm not. Absolutely not.
So you would say who's your top? My top 5 would be. Oh, that's tough. Number 1 is tough.
Number 1 is tough.
It's tough. All right, fine. I'm just because I like you and you're my boy. I'll put Allen, Rodgers, Wilson, Mahomes, Brady.
Okay.
Because I think Mahomes is going to have a little bit. I think he's going to come down to earth a little bit.
A little decline, absolutely.
Yeah. But those are the 5 best. When you combine everything, those are the 5 best. And then you got to start talking about Lamar Jackson. I'll
say Stafford and others.
Stafford, yeah. Lamar and Stafford and others. And then you get into those other guys. Because I'm looking at the wins here. Mahomes has won 78% of his games, including the playoffs. Brady, 77%. Obviously, Brady's got a ton on the mileage
years.
Lamar Jackson, 72%. Rodgers, 66%. Wilson, 65%. Josh Allen, 64%. Okay, those are, and again, QBs are a team stat, but ultimately, the best quarterbacks win about 2/3 of their game.
But again, like you just said, 64 for Josh, 65 for Wilson, all of that. Again, Wilson got years on him. So again, clearly at this point, he's doing better than Wilson, So things like that should let you know, okay, all right, you guys are bugging, okay? Ain't no way that you're sitting here telling me that Justin Herbert is up there.
But there's more.
7.
Joe Burrow has won 52% of his games. Matthew Stafford has won 48% of his games, and Herbert's won 47%. But at least Stafford won the Super Bowl last year, and he was on a sad sack team. But
yes, and 1 year seeing him on a good team, great team, you see what he does. Yeah. That makes you question. Rodgers has been on great teams, and he's great. He's made others greater. But if you put guys like Stafford in his position, they can do what he can do. So that's why I think sometimes putting Rodgers still at that one is a little bit, the guy can get the personal accolades, but the team does not go anywhere. Team success is why I would choose, Mahomes, Allen, Brady over him all time, right? I mean, if we're talking about what they're doing now, like, okay, let's go into the playoffs, blah, blah, who do I trust? Da, da, da. I'm giving the ball to these guys right now at this age, okay?
Right.
Rodgers and Brady are about neck to neck because of age and what they can both do now, I think Rodgers is still mobile than Brady, but I think absolutely those four are definitely the top four. If you ask me, and then Wilson will be my 5 right there.
And that's fair. I'm just looking for consistency, and I see very obvious patterns here. It's like when Russell won, because of the rhetoric around him at the time, when he won a Super Bowl and almost won another, and he's putting up 30 touchdowns and 4,000 something yards and running and passing, he wasn't even sniffing these lists, and that's after winning a Super Bowl. But now, when he deserves that same respect, and even Lamar, who's won an MVPs, won playoff games, acquitted himself against great teams, they're not getting the same respect. And I think that's what bothers me. Sometimes I'm convinced these lists are just, they pick the right 50 just to get us talking about it, because no one in their right mind is drafting for this year. Your life depends on it. You're really going to take Justin Herbert over Russell Wilson? You're really going to take Joe Burrow over Lamar Jackson? Really? I understand they just made a Super Bowl.
I don't think you should be even as upset of seeing Justin Herbert only one over.
I'm not upset at all. I actually predicted
Wilson
it. I saw it 3 months ago. Remember we were talking in March, and I was like, oh yeah, Russell's the 3rd best quarterback in the division now. And I was like, oh, it's news to me. So it's all good, man. I expected to see it.
Realistically, that division, right now he is the 3rd best coming in because it's a new team. But no, from what they've all accomplished and what you think they can do with the same squad, yes, Russell is a better quarterback than Justin Herbert. Okay, but right now, with the team that Justin Herbert has, they're only getting better. Russell is with a new team, new system, new coaches. So we're yet to see. So that's why I think, I was saying that, hey, he's the 3rd right now. But him and Justin Herbert are going to figure it out. If you ask me, yes, of course, one game of life depending on it, I'm going with Russell Wilson over even Rodgers. Are you kidding me? I'm going with Russell Wilson over, Burrow, a couple of people. But these guys are all still ranked over him. So
listen, just remember, I don't want you to think I am upset at all. I saw it and I laughed. I thought it was humorous because I used to get mad about those things 4 or 5 years ago. And then I realized, it's just how it is. There's inconsistencies in these lists based on race, based on traditional quarterbacks. And that's just how it is. There's double standards and it's all good. And I am very at ease about this situation because Russell Wilson will prove it on the field. Lamar Jackson, I'm not quite as sure as Russell, but I do think Lamar Jackson is going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's going to have a successful career. So they're going to prove it on the field.
Lamar Jackson is the most underrated quarterback in today's generation. Why? Because the guy can change the game by himself. And we don't give him enough credit for that. Last year with all his running backs down, he was leading his team in, rushing touchdowns, rushing yards, bunch of things. And he's not on this list. Seriously. He's proven that, listen, even when I don't got a running back, I could figure it out. They almost made the playoffs. They had no business being up there with how many injuries they had last year. But again, it goes to show you that, of course, back in the day, you got to be tall, white, with an arm, quarterback ASAP, you got legs, whatever. Hey, play corner, receiver.
But it gets used against you, Les. What happens is, and sometimes this is not even on purpose for a lot of people. It's unintentional. It's like they see Lamar run like that. They see Russell, especially young Russell, run like that. And they're like, oh, well, yeah, they're just running like that. They can't play from the pocket. But then it's like, no, they are playing from the pocket too. They're doing
and then
both.
You see them make, insane throws out of the pocket, and it's not talked about as much as, Rodgers flicks one thing and it's talked about. But you should expect that from him because you see that all the time. You should, since you want to say, oh, he's not a quarterback, you should be even more amazed when you see them do these other things, right? Because you already didn't, you were doubting them from the get-go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this list was crazy a little bit. But hey, NFL season is still right around the corner. 2 more months till the season actually underway kicks off. I'm excited about it.
2 months, baby. Ready.
2 months. Yeah, absolutely.
Ready for your boy Josh Allen to win the MVP?
At Josh Allen MVP, you know what I mean? Jimmy G got to get out of the Niners so I can predict what we're going to do. But if we got Jimmy, we're not making the playoffs. Like I said, there's 2 things I care about this year, and it's Josh Allen winning that MVP and Jimmy G not being the 49ers quarterback. That's all I wish for. That's all I want for Christmas.
We're gonna have like 10. We're gonna have like 10 NFL predictions each. Gonna be some crazy ones on that list, man. That's coming.
We'll get there.
That's coming. We ain't there
Absolutely.
yet.
Absolutely. And then now next or soon episodes to come, we're definitely gonna do our top 10 NBA all-time debate as well. So be ready, Michael. You and I will go hard.
You better get your facts together, man.
Man, I'm coming.
I don't want to embarrass you nationally.
Listen, you better be ready because when you come to Vegas, I have friends that are ready to slander Chris Paul. So you should be ready.
We're talking about top 10 all time. I ain't got to worry about that.
I'm talking about when you come here, you have to because they know who you like and they know what you're, you like talking about. So we're going to get there.
We're talking about top 10 all time. Don't bring him up. He didn't make it.
Oh, yeah. He never going to make it, bro. I don't care if he wins 3 rings in a row. He's not going to make a top 10.
Okay, that sounds like a hater right there.
That ain't.
This is a preview right here. You see this?
Three in a row.
He can win 3 rings in a row. He ain't going to make it.
Yes. Not going to be a top 10 player of all time. Absolutely, Mike. You will give him a case. You will. I ain't going to go there with you, but, if you win
Case is the case, my friend.
I understand. But absolutely great episode today. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. We'll see you all soon. Again, this was the Raw Sports Debate coming to you live from studios by Michael, Steven, and Leslie. Have a good one, everyone.
Peace out.
Peace out.
Go eat, Leslie.